Now let's go to our Spotlight interview with the Mayor of Joliet, Bob Odenkirk. Welcome to another Spotlight interview. I'm Ashley Hare. Today I am here with the City of Joliet Mayor, Bob Odenkirk. Thank you for coming into the studio
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
So I want to start off with just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got the position as the Mayor of Joliet.
Well, yeah, I came to Joliet in 1993. I was a Joliet policeman for 10 years. I went to law school. So in 2003, I left. I became an attorney. Long story short, I came back to Joliet in private practice, ran for the city council in 2010 or 2011, and then ran for mayor in 2015.
Okay.
So.
What kind of inspired you to leave the police force to go more into law and politics?
Well, initially, I wanted, coming out of college, I wanted to be an attorney. I thought I wanted to be an attorney, but I was really burned out with school and wanted to go to work. So back then, the federal government wasn't hiring for law enforcement. I began applying locally, and Joliet was the first. Again, I tested all over with Chicago and Alsip and Blue Island, but Joliet was the first to call, so I came out here. But after being a policeman for 5 or 6 years, I went to night school, went back to school to get the law degree.
Okay. So speaking of being mayor, re-elections are coming up, and you are rerunning for the upcoming election. You kind of want to talk about your platform and initiatives you're looking forward to for this upcoming election.
Yeah, well, elections are in a couple weeks. I don't have an opponent, so that was really that was a nice break. And I was really surprised by that. It's a big job in Joliet, but I think I've given the State of the City speech. The city's doing well economically, and it's trending up across the board. So I think it's important that we continue to do that, and I think we've been very successful in our economic development. There's a lot of big projects that are out there that we've been pursuing for several years now. Some of them are underway, some are about to begin. So I really want to see those through. That's the I-80, I-55 project, the Hobolt Road Bridge, the courthouse, the downtown redevelopment, the Silver Cross Hospital redevelopment, the prison, which wasn't something that was on the agenda, kind of fell into our lap. So there's a lot going on. It's in progress. I'm really looking forward to the next 4 years.
Well, that's good. So with all this economic booming coming in the city, infrastructure is a big topic here lately with news coverage of all these bridges and roads. How would you, I guess, want to explain to the people that they know that the city doesn't have anything to do? Yes, they are our bridges, but it's more of IDOT that's going to provide this funding.
Yeah, it's frustrating because we're getting to the point. Well, I think we're at the point. A lot of people think that we have to start turning away projects because of the infrastructure, and that that's something that should never happen. Joliet's in a position to grow economically. That's what every city wants to do. So if we're at a point where we have to stop doing that and start raising taxes on local residents because the roads aren't sufficient, it's really a failure of government. So I don't think we're there yet, but when there's a project that comes in, city roads will do the improvements on, or we'll have the vendor pay for the improvements. So that's covered. We can't cover county roads, we can't cover state routes, and specifically I-80 is a state road. So there's nothing that we can do specifically about I-80. We can't work on the interchanges, we can't work on the bridges. We can work with IDOT, with our state, with our other local elected officials on getting the money to do so. I think we have a real good relationship with IDOT. They've committed money in different parts in Joliet. Right now, I think there's $160 million to redo the bridges from Richard Street going east. So IDOT has been good to Joliet, and we're going to continue to work with them. But there's no question, and obviously the Des Plaines River Bridge is the big topic right now.
Yeah.
I-80 needs an overhaul. That bridge, I'm not sure how much money IDOT is going to invest in that bridge because ultimately they want to rebuild it, tear that down and build a second bridge, and straighten out the lanes so that you don't have the curve going into it. But again, those questions are going to be answered at a higher level in the city of Joliet.
So with the bridge, a company, or not a company, but a union puts signs. Are there safety precautions that the city has ready in case the bridge does collapse or concrete starts falling? What's in place for when that happens?
Yeah, it was something that we really hadn't dealt with up until about a month ago when a report had been leaked out showing it's still a little bit unclear what the condition of the bridge is. IDOT has not released that report, but they've assured us that the bridge is in stable working condition, that there's improvements that are going to be made starting, I think, in the next couple of weeks or so. So, obviously, I think if the state of Illinois thought the bridge was in imminent danger, I think that they would take steps. But you can look around, including Lakeshore Drive a couple of weeks ago, no one was predicting that was going to be in the shape it was. So,
Right.
Yeah, we began internally trying to put together a plan. What would happen if that bridge has to close? And there's 42,000 vehicles a day that are going over that bridge. They cannot be allowed to pile on the Joliet roads. The gridlock would completely shut the city down. So, we're working on it, but ultimately this is a significant issue if something goes wrong, if there's bridge failure in any way. So it's an ongoing thing, but there is no good answer from the Joliet end of this.
So you mentioned to me that the city has a water problem going on. Do you want to talk about
Yes.
what that actually is?
Yeah, well, and it's great to raise the awareness. And I do think people are beginning to understand. Joliet is sitting on an aquifer, and it's a regional aquifer. It's not a local aquifer. We've been drawing water out of this since 1907. Since the 1960s, the city has been monitoring the depletion of the aquifer. We're at the point where that aquifer, we know it's going to run dry. Where scientists are saying in the next 15, 20 years it's going to run dry. I've talked to other mayors. Former mayor of Aurora, Mayor Wisner, kind of alerted me to this problem. Aurora began 30 years ago switching off of the aquifer. They currently get half of their water from the Illinois River, half from this aquifer. But Joliet has to get off of it, as does everyone else around us. So we hired an engineering firm. They're done with phase one of a plan. They're in phase two. They've narrowed it down to 3 sources where the city can get water, that being the Illinois River, the Kankakee River, or Lake Michigan. Phase two phase two of the plan should be done in the late summer. There's an environmental committee that I had put together that's going to review this. They're going to make recommendations to the city council. And by the end of the year, we intend to have identified a new source of water and begin the process of acquiring that for Joliet. It's going to be a major undertaking to do that, but it's something we have to do. We have no choice.
And then is there any tips or suggestions you could give residents for how to save water? Is it having to do with saving water, how much we're using water? Like, what can we do to...
Yeah, not offhand. The environmental committee, that they spun off, the major reason for forming them was to attack the water problem. But they have spun off a side committee where they're going to start talking about conservation. And I think other than talking about it, this is something that's going to be reality, not just in Joliet. I think for your generation, I think we've been spoiled, my generation, with water. It's going to become a premium, I think, in the future. And I think conservation all over is going to become a real factor moving forward. We are doing it in Joliet, and I think they're going to unroll or roll out a real plan of what they'd like to see the city start doing in the future. But again, this isn't a local issue, it's a regional issue.
And when you mean regional, are you talking just the towns around us or just counties, like just the Midwest?
I think all of Western Illinois. The aquifer goes up into Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
So, and obviously a lot of the Chicago communities draw from Lake Michigan, but then there's other communities taken from rivers. So again, I think that just the whole the water grid, I guess for lack of a better term, is going to change all over the region.
So you talked about, the economy here is booming. Do you want to talk about positive projects that are going on, such as this new movie theater that's coming out by JJC and the prison with tours and stuff like that?
Sure. The project at I-80 and I-55 is something the city's been pursuing for some time. There's been starts and stops with different vendors. But I would say that, we identified that. We know it's a prime piece of real estate. It's right. Those are both basically entryways into the city of Chicago, the Chicagoland area, if you're coming from the west or from the south. So we had offers about 4 years ago. The city council had a company from Texas that wanted to open logistics and put more warehousing and trucking. The city council turned it down. We said, no, we thought there was a better use for that property. So the Cullinan Group out of Peoria came forward. They have done successful projects all over Illinois and in the Midwest. What they have presented for that site would be a mixed-use product where you'd have retail, commercial, restaurants, hotels, office buildings, housing. So it really was an exciting project. This is Wednesday, Friday, we're going to have the first groundbreaking ceremony. I know they have tenants lined up. We have non-disclosure agreements signed where we can't announce them. But Regal Theaters has come forward. I'm really excited to see what they're going to present. It's a state-of-the-art movie theater chain out of Great Britain. that's invested in Joliet. I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head, but I think 4,000 seats and I don't know the square foot. It's going to be a real state-of-the-art movie chain. So it's great for Joliet. And I know the other vendors that they've talked about, some of the restaurants, it really, a high level, they're shooting high with this. And I think it's great for our city. The vendors or the different entities that I've seen are things that you see coming to Naperville or Oak Brook, and it's great to see a project like that for Joliet.
Yeah.
And I know that the developers are approaching it not as a local project, but as a regional project. They think they'll draw people from Bloomington or from LaSalle that will come into the Joliet area just to go on their site.
And when can people in the area look forward to when they're announcing the different kind of vendors that are going to be there?
Hopefully soon. They told me that there's hotel chains that they're ready to announce too, so they're going to start rolling it out. The issue there had been funding for the different road work that needs to be done, specifically for a new interchange right off I-55 onto that property.
Okay.
So there's a lot of moving parts, and they've worked hard. There's a lot of money that's been invested in this. But ultimately, the city is firmly behind this. It'd be great for the city of Joliet. I think they're talking about 5,000 or 6,000 permanent jobs on site, 7,000 or 8,000 construction jobs, $20 billion in new revenue over the years. So it's a real exciting project. It's something that we're really excited about in Joliet.
And then another project I seen was a new Joliet treatment center that's going to be a hospital for prisoners. So, with the old Joliet prison and our Statesville, how is that going to be a major role in Joliet?
Yeah, that was a nice announcement. It's a $150 million investment in Joliet that's happened on the west side on McDonough Street at the old Illinois Youth Center site. So that closed, I think, about 5 years ago. The state closed the youth center, and about 450 people lost their jobs on that site. With the new hospital the state's going to build on that site, which has pretty much been vacant for the last few years, there's another 400 jobs coming in. And it's going to be a mental health facility for people who are incarcerated in the Department of Corrections. So I think it's a good use of that property. It's what's already been there, more or less. But it's great to see a type of investment, a state-of-the-art hospital being built, and again, more jobs coming in our community. So we're also excited about that.
So will the hospital be open for other prisons in the area, or just Joliet specifically, the Stateville?
No, I think it's part of the state prison Department of Corrections chain. So inmates with mental health issues are going to be removed from general population. They're going to be housed there.
Okay. And with the old Joliet prison, with volunteering and cleaning up, what are we looking forward for this upcoming spring, summer season with tours?
Well, the tours have definitely picked up. I think they're almost sold out. What we want to start, and again, it was baby steps on that, but we're looking to see increased productivity over there. It really didn't open until August of last year. It was a great cleanup effort. I know the cleanup effort, again, it has begun because there's always 10 more things to do on site. But you see more tours from the museum, more events are being looked at and going to be booked on the site. And there's a number of different vendors that have come forward looking to use the prison for a variety of things. A winery, a restaurant, people that want to do beyond just tours, they want to do like packages or so. And that's on the old prison. Across the street with the 180 acres, we're working with the Forest Preserve and with the Park District of developing that into some type of recreation use. It's basically been vacant property for all these years. And then at the old women's prison across the street, we are currently working with a national vendor that wants to go in and get in that prison. One of the things that we found, we signed a 5-year lease last year. For private vendors to come in and invest significant dollars, they're going to want to know that they're going to get a return on their money. So I think ultimately, in the near future, we're going to have to go back down to Springfield and see if we can work something out longer term that allow an investor the security to know that it's going to be there 5 or 10 years from now. If they're going to sink $1 million or $2 million into it. I plan on inviting Governor Pritzker to this site. Didn't want to go in this weather because I don't know how productive it would be. But in the spring, it's a great story, I think, for obviously for the city, but also for the state. This had been a problem that had festered since 2002 when it closed. So I really credit the state of Illinois, Department of Corrections, our local officials to get involved and turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah.
So I certainly want to continue that with Governor Pritzker, and I'm fairly certain that he would be encouraged to continue the productivity that we have going on there.
So the Joliet Park District, they opened a new facility on the east side, the Noel Park Recreation Center. Are we looking more like a recreation center like that that's going to be at the old prison site, or?
I don't know. It's all open land, so probably I don't know if there's anything structurally in the workings right now. I know that the Forest Preserve wants to acquire land to build trails and different things in there. There are 2 beautiful quarries back there that are filled in now. So I think that's not my line, but I think the potential there is really good. And I think it's kind of undervalued. I don't think people in Joliet realize exactly what's back there, although there's a road that cuts through now. But
Yeah.
so I'm not sure exactly what the Park District or the Forest Preserve have planned, other than it's 180 acres of vacant land that can be put to use. And it's exciting. There's a lot of different things that can be done back there. So I'm curious to see what they're
What
gonna
can be
come up
done,
with.
yeah. And I guess next we can talk about the new Will County Courthouse building. How is that coming along on top of Chicago Street, coming all the way through?
Yeah, the courthouse, apparently it's on schedule. The county is heading that project. But, just to see that every day I walk out of City Hall, you see the work that's been done. They started last winter. They were able to pretty much work through last winter. Other than 1 or 2 days, they've been working every day through this winter. I mean, we had a cold winter. So,
Yeah.
the progress looks great. I think it's great for downtown. I'm really glad that Will County chose to stay downtown and made that investment in downtown Joliet. When I became mayor, I think there was real talk on the county board of leaving Joliet and starting at a fresh site. So I think it was a real coup for the city to keep Will County there. And then, everything that goes with it, the offices and the attorneys and all different agencies that are affiliated with the courthouse. Chicago Street is going to go through. We were hoping to start construction now, like in March. It's being delayed somewhat because there's sewer work that still needs to be done. The chief judge expressed concern about the work being done during the daytime, the noise, and that was interfering with court operations. So the work is getting done, and it pushed back a little bit to open up Chicago Street, but I'm excited. When we talk to investors or people that want to come into downtown, they repeatedly point to Chicago Street as being a factor, that they thought access to and from downtown from I-80 was cut off. So that had been an issue, I think, in developing downtown. But with that going through, there seems to be even more interest in private money, out-of-town money coming in and reinvesting in downtown.
So with this new state-of-the-art building that Will County is building, is the city of Joliet doing any construction to make more downtown more lively, more modern, more minimalism, like actual like downtown Chicago?
Sure. Yeah. No. There aren't city dollars going other than like the road improvements or the sewer improvements. That's where the city money's going. We do work with all sorts of different investors. Downtown is a TIF district, so the city is on the city center partnership. So yeah, there's an active move to bring business. We're really pushing residential housing into downtown. So we're working, but on that level, it's not city money directly that's buying buildings or opening up a business. It's city working, giving incentives to businesses to come in and do that.
So now I'm going to kind of transition into the Exploring Joliet show. Due to a need to reallocate funds to address student-based fiscal needs, USF is reducing the amount of Exploring Joliet episodes that we do from about 50 to 16 a year. So with the reduction of EJ, since we are produced out to a lot of the older residents of Joliet, what do you think the impact will be on the city?
Well, I think when I do these interviews, I come in here, I always get a real positive feedback from the community, and I hear a lot of people who are watching this and really enjoy this outlet. And I know other elected officials also enjoy this, so I hope it's not too bad of an impact, but I think it is going to be a negative impact. And St. Francis has been great partners with the city, but yeah, I think this has been a real effective outlet. And again, I always hear from people that they say I saw the interview with USF, and they find it very informative that a local official could sit down and really talk in depth on some of these issues. Instead of just a little blurb that you read in the paper or in the paper.
And actually seeing it rather than on the paper or on the patch. You get a whole different perspective when you hear, someone speaking rather than just a rewritten article from an author. Or it gets very iffy with topics. So
yes, it can. I'd rather speak for myself than have things taken out of context.
Yeah.
Or placed in a different context than I may have intended. So.
Well, thank you for coming into the studio today.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it, and thank you for touching upon many topics that are going on in the city. It's great to see our city improving and keep on growing. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been another Spotlight interview. I'm Ashley Hare.